I'm speaking to the woman who feels like she's never enough. I'm speaking to the woman who feels like she doesn't have anybody to talk to. I'm speaking to the woman that was in the closet like who I was, just embarrassed about everything, didn't want to face reality. I'm speaking to the woman who is accomplished but yet feels torn inside. I'm speaking to the woman who doesn't feel like her voice matters.
Hey, you guys. Listen, it is your girl, Artisha Ross, host of Diaries of a Uterus. If your womb could talk, we are on episode 4. But before we begin, do your girl a favor. Like, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to hit that notification button. I have a very special guest. I know her personally. This is my sister. Yes, not by blood, but through spiritual. Okay, this is my sister. So she is a mother, she is a wife, she is a granddaughter, one of the granddaughters to one of the legendary, okay, legendary Black men in Bakersfield, California. Okay, none other than Dr. Tyree Tolliver. Oh, how I miss him so much. And Sister Rosa Tolliver, I miss them. Okay. She's also a healer, okay? She's also the CEO and founder of Get Healed by Dianne. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for my dear sister, Dianne. How you doing, Boo?
Hey,
Super
how are
excited.
you?
I
I'm great.
listen. Hi,
Yeah, yes, honey, yes. That's why I turned the air on.
listen.
Yes,
I got her. But the only reason why I don't have my air because we on this podcast and I don't want the noise. Oh my gosh! But let me tell you, we got fans around here. Where are those fans at? Real talk.
yes, yes.
Okay, Miss Dianne, do me a favor. Please tell the listeners who you are in your own words.
Well, hello. My name is Dianne Lucian. Like she said, I am a mother. I am a wife. I am also a grandma, Gigi. And I own my own business. I do intuitive healings, life coaching, and for my professional role, my 9 to 5, I work in mental health. So it all kind of combines together. So when I did see Artisha had this, I was like, oh, this is so me. And so a I am a full time person in recovery of a hysterectomy. So, hey, this is who I am, Mrs. Dianne. Nice to meet you.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Oh, sis, I cannot forget to say you are also a sister too.
Yes.
I
Yes.
forgot. I'm like, no, we can't forget that. A little
Yes.
swag bag like jiggling. It's all good.
Yes. Artisha is one of my little sisters. We did grow up together, and you know what? We pushed through. We pushed through
Yes.
and we're here now. And, I'm just happy to be here on a uplifting podcast where someone is actually doing something to help women. So I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you for taking
Mhm.
time out of your busy schedule and hanging out with your little sis. All right, we get ready to dive into this.
Yes, let's do it.
So, take us back to the beginning. When did you first realize your periods were not normal?
Well, I knew that my periods weren't normal when this is before I had kids. So, so I had a bad uh, miscarriage and used to wake up in puddles of blood. And so after I had the miscarriage and I had to get everything cleaned up or whatever, everything just kind of went downhill from there. I started having really, really bad cramps. I started having big old, I know TMI, but clots would be this big
Wow.
coming out. And so that was, let me see, my son is 20. So that was probably about 25 to 30 years ago. I knew something was off. And so I just told Spirit, I said, I still want to have kids. Yeah, I have all this pain. Whenever I would get onto the monthly, my monthly, a lot of times I would be embarrassed to go places. And so it was really, really, really horrible. And I was like, this is not normal to be having to be 20 and wearing a diaper. So it wasn't like a diaper, but it was one of those big pads. And I
Yeah.
was, I'm trying to be cute and sexy, huh? Be cute and
Yeah.
sexy in a big old pad walking around.
Come on.
So that's when I knew something was different. And I said, oh, heck. No, something's not right. I need to. So I'm a researcher. So I looked and went to a couple different doctors and yeah, that's where it started.
Oh my gosh, sis. What did painful cycles look like for you day to day? And were you, what were you managing?
So painful cycle. So the good thing I would say, that people always say, oh, is there a silver lining to the story? So the silver lining was that thank goodness they only lasted about 5 days, but it was 5 days of hell. So
Mm.
how I managed was, and I was playing sports and, doing stuff and I
Mhm.
was active. So the way that I managed was that I always kept some type of Midol. You know what? What's so funny is that Midol didn't work for me. It was a joke. So
Mm.
I had to have extra strength Tylenol. And then also when I went to my OBGYN, I just let them know, hey, I need something a little bit stronger. So they did go ahead and prescribe me Tylenol. That's actually an extra dose that has to be prescribed. So that's how I managed.
Oh,
But I don't like taking
gosh.
pills all the time
I
because
know.
I'm the type of person, I'm always full of energy. I'm really high vibe. So my energy is always
Yeah.
whatever. So it kind of slowed me down. And I was just like, ooh. So I kind of just started doing my
Mm.
own thing with a lot of teas and different stuff like that, and started doing like herbal teas. And just, I didn't want to be on, I did not want to be on the pills all the time.
Yeah.
So, that's how I managed, was just trying to taking it easy. And I actually had to um, change my calendar based on those days of the month.
Oh my God.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. You were dealing with heavy bleeding that made you
Hmm.
afraid to even sit down in public. Can
Correct.
you walk us through what the experience was like emotionally?
Whew, so it did take a toll on me. My biggest thing in life when I was, can you believe it, 19 to 20, was that I wanted to have I wanted to have a kid. I wanted to,
Mhm.
basically show the world that I can love. So my biggest
Yeah.
thing is I want to have a baby, and so
Yeah.
when I started having those periods, it took a toll on me because I didn't know if I'd be able to have a kid because of how bad that miscarriage was. The baby came out in the toilet. I had no idea. And so when I went to the hospital, I thought it was like, they said PID. I thought it was like inflammatory disease or something like that, but it was really a baby in there. And so um, the way that I dealt with it was, whew, so emotional wise, I was a wreck, but I still had to push on. I had goals that
Mhm.
I wanted to do. So I was a wreck, but you would never know.
Wow. I know. Oh, this. Okay. How long did you live with that level of fear and physical limitation before you said enough?
After I had my last child. So my childbirths, my first childbirth, I do think he came early. He weighed 2 pounds.
Okay.
So I do think that did have something to do with all the heavy bleeding and all that. I think it had something to do with that. But I, after the first one, he came early and it was just a big ordeal. So after the my last baby was born, I just said, I'm not dealing with this anymore. And then my mom happened to pass away. She wouldn't tell us what kind of cancer she had. She just kept saying, "Oh, it's down there," and so um we can just put a pause right here. What I want to say real quick is that, if
Okay.
we're a parent and we're dealing with stuff, and our kids are able to understand if they're old enough, let them know what the real deal is, because we don't want to go
Mhm.
searching and have to do, because
Yeah.
I had to do a lot of homework to find out exactly what kind of cancer she had, and come to find out it was ovarian. So let your kids know what's going on. Keep them abreast of stuff
Yeah.
so they can try to support you the best way they can. And
Mhm.
so once I found out that after some digging that it was ovarian cancer, I said, oh, heck no. So I just was just like, no, I'm tired of these heavy cramps. I'm tired of misdoing my life. I started missing functions and different
Mm.
things like that, and not being able to go here or there because I had to, rearrange my life because of these heavy periods and looking like a diaper. I'm trying to look, and
Yeah.
I couldn't be me. And so I went to my doctor after I had the baby, and I told her, look, I'm gonna need a complete hysterectomy. And so I dealt with it. I dealt with it for at least 20 years. And
Mhm.
then I just said, you know what? Forget this. I am not
Mhm.
dealing with this anymore. I don't want to keep living my life like this. And then when I see my mom passed away from
Yeah.
ovarian, I
Oh.
just said, you know what? It's done. It's done. And so my doctor didn't want me to do it because she said I was so young, and oh, I might have kids and it's going to put you in menopause.
Mm.
And I said, I do not care. I
Okay.
said, I'm signing give me the paper. So it
Uh-huh.
was a fight. We actually, like, we didn't fight, but it was a fight because she didn't want me to
Yeah.
do it. So it took about 20 years, 15, 20 years for me to finally say, forget this. I am worthy of
Mhm.
to feel normal, because I didn't feel normal. I felt abnormal.
Mhm. Oh my God. Okay. What finally pushed? Okay, so you pretty much said this going through this 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
pushed you to consider having a hysterectomy. So we got
Correct.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But do you feel like it was a moment? Was there one moment or was there a slow build? Was it the moment where Mama Brenda passed away? Or
Mm-hmm.
was it the moment, or was it just a continuously build, 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 build?
It was continuous.
Okay.
It was continuous.
Okay.
Another situation that I did have was that I don't remember if you ever went to the church camps. Did you ever go to
Yes,
camps?
I
Okay.
went a couple times.
Okay. So, um, one year at church camp, I didn't know that I was starting my period. And so, um, the period came. And so I was too embarrassed to ask anybody for a pad. And so I was just walking around bloody. And because I was too embarrassed and I didn't think anybody, I think I would think that they would laugh at me,
Okay.
And so I finally did ask, but I was like, um, it was so bad. I just kind of went in the cafeteria and just kind of sat to myself for a while.
Okay. So were there people in your life who questioned your decision of having a hysterectomy?
So the main person was the doctor. My husband, he was like, "Oh, really? No more monthlies?" The husband was gung ho. The men are going, "Oh,
Let me
wait,
tell you, yes. I don't have to deal with it. Oh, anytime? Okay.
yes, yes, yes. Oh, it's a free for all. Oh, we can just practice." That was his word. We can just practice now. We don't have to make babies. So, the people, I did have people in my life, as far as I have a godmom who's been there since before I was born, Um, she was there for me because we were going through a lot of things together. So she's been there for me since day one. And as far as anything else, I really don't. So getting on here and talking about this is different for me because I don't usually talk about stuff like this.
I know.
I usually talk about my spiritual stuff. And so talking about this is just a little bit different for me. So I don't really talk to a lot of people about what's going on. I don't even think I told my little sister because we're really tight. And, but we weren't as tight at that time. So the only person who really was like, a woman, another woman,
Yeah.
was my godmom because she had went through hell herself.
Oh, sis. What was the first thing you felt after surgery, physically and emotionally?
Pain. But because it was one of the worst surgeries I've ever had. It was one of the
Mhm,
worst ones. It was painful. I underestimated that surgery. And so
mhm.
so the word that I would say is free. I felt free though.
Okay.
I felt like I had kind of cut the chain off of my ball and chain, just like, oh, you're not getting this one, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was, I would say I felt free. I felt emancipated.
Mhm. Oh, that's right. What do you wish someone had told you before you did have a hysterectomy, though?
If there were other options.
Mhm.
I I wish somebody would have sat and talked to me and say, look, you don't have to do this. Your uterus is really important. Hysterectomy is, menopause is a wild beast that it's really hard to tame, and
Mhm.
that it's no fun. And
Mhm.
that your emotions are crazy. One minute you'll be happy, next minute you're mad because
Yeah.
somebody didn't put the trash out, or you're mad because the
Mhm.
light didn't turn green fast enough, or
Mhm.
you get. I'm clickish.
Yeah.
I click really, really fast. I'm really hot all the time. So I have to. I always have to take a pill now. So if I don't take the pill, I kind of I wouldn't say I don't feel like myself, but I kind of don't,
Mhm.
as far
Okay.
as the feelings and stuff, everything is
Yeah.
just I'm without that pill, I kind of feel numb. That's what I would tell somebody, is that if you want to have that numb, if you want to feel numb, but it's not like that for everybody, but with me, I kind of
Yeah.
feel numb sometimes
Okay.
without the pill. Hmm.
Sis. All right. Tell us about your mom. I know Mama Brenda,
Hmm.
but tell us about who she was to you.
That was a thing, is that my mom, even though we did grow up in the church, and everybody kind of we always had the spotlight on us. As you can see, I have my spotlight
Mhm.
on now. And
Yeah.
so she was full of grace. She always had her head held high, and she embraced being a mother. She embraced being a grandmother. She was a God-fearing woman who, at the end of the day, God comes before anything and everything. So she instilled that in all six of her kids.
Mhm.
And so that was the thing about her, was that she taught me to be resilient. Of course, we're always going to have stuff thrown at us, period. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
with me being who I am and the black sheep, I have a whole lot more stuff thrown at me constantly, all the time. And
Yeah.
so, um, that was where I feel like where she comes in, she steps in, is that I continue to have grace when people are always trying to throw a mess at me. So she was a hard worker. I would say she was a missionary.
Mhm.
She did her mission. She came, she did what she had to do, and God took her home. So, she came and saw me yesterday. They they double teamed me yesterday. So,
Oh,
yeah.
we can talk about that a little later. Wait a minute. Wait. Okay. So when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer,
Mhm.
what did that do to your world? You say you didn't know that she was diagnosed with that part, right? But
Right.
but did you know she was diagnosed with any type of cancer or just
So this was the situation. So the way that our family is, we're extreme. I would say I'm a little bit more out there,
yeah.
but we're all really extremely, extremely, extremely private.
Okay.
And so, but I'm not. And
Mhm.
so, well, certain aspects of me. And so we had a situation where someone in the family had did something to me,
Okay.
and I needed to discuss it with her this
Okay.
particular day. And so I'll never forget that I went to her house,
Okay.
and a couple days later, and so I was like, oh, where are you, so she was upstairs looking over the balcony into the park, real pretty park. She was, because that's where their house was it was in front of a real pretty park. So she was looking over the balcony, and so, I'm just happy to go look, hey, mom, what's going on?
Yeah.
Whatever. And so she never cracked a smile. Usually she'd smile. I always see her beautiful smile. And so
Mhm.
she was looking over the balcony, and I told her, like, hey, da 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 happened. And she didn't look at me. And I'm looking like, what's going on here?
Mhm.
And then she just turned and she just kind of put her head down. And then she looked at me and she looked back at the park. And I said, what's going on? And then that's when she told me she had cancer.
Mhm.
And I just said, oh. And then she told me it's terminal. And I said, holy. And I said, oh. And so at that moment, I was like, and I'm coming up to her with this crazy story about, whoop whoop or whatever. And then I just looked, and then I just said, you okay? She was like, I'll be okay. I'll be okay, And so um, at that point in where I was spiritually, I had accepted death. And so I wasn't
Mhm.
scared of death. And so she was extremely frightened of death. And
Okay.
so I just told her, okay, mom, I said, you'll be fine. If you need anything, you let me know. So we just went back downstairs, and I was just kind of quiet for the rest of the night. My husband was like, are you okay? I told
Mhm.
him in the car, or whatever. And then when I got home, that's when I just cried. I didn't want to cry in front of her.
Mhm.
I had to,
Yeah.
I'm the oldest daughter, so I had to remain, the OG.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Wow. Mm-mm-mm. You said after she passed, you told yourself it was time.
Right.
What did you mean by that?
It was time to do something about this pain, about these painful periods, about not living my life because I didn't feel like I was living my life to the fullest.
Mhm.
And I said, nothing is holding Big Sexy back any longer. And so that's when I just said, I'm getting a hysterectomy. I said some choice
Mhm.
words because I love choice words. And I said, I'm not doing this anymore. So I researched it for a little bit, and I had just had the
Okay.
baby. And I
Yeah.
said, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it. So um, that's when I said, it's time to live my life to the fullest. I didn't come here to be half, half doing stuff. I came here to
Mhm.
live my life fully. And I came down here with a mission, and I wasn't living my mission completely. So I said, it's time. I don't care what anybody had to say. Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Right.
Hmm.
Do you think you would have gotten the hysterectomy if Mama Brenda had not passed?
That was a main contributing factor. Um, I think with me and those blood clots and that pain, um, I think that I would have at least tried some other options.
Okay.
I would have tried probably some other options, but eventually I probably would have got it done, but not as fast. Not as
Okay.
fast.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Do you think the women in your family normalize pain and suffering in silence?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. My sister's like, look, that's quick. What does it mean to you to break that cycle?
Well, the women in our family, women and men, I'm gonna just
Okay.
categorize them all. We can have an axe in the back of our head, and somebody asks, "Are you okay?" And blood could be dripping down our face. Are you okay? Yeah, let's go. Did you guys have dinner? Did you need some water? Yeah, let's. So it's normal. And so with me being the main one, where see, I do a lot of ancestor work,
Yeah.
and so with the ancestors, they said it's you. What? Is you.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to break them all. What? That's what you came
Mm-hmm.
down here for. What? Who?
Yeah.
Me? And so I said, well, let's. They said, they said, let's do it. That's what I told myself. I said, let's do it. They said, we'll be here for you. And so at that time, my mom was there, my grandma was there. I had all the grandmas. I had grandmas going back for a long time. And they said, we're here. So um, during that time, when I was going through all that, when I was taking one of my spiritual baths, all of the women from my lineage, they showed up and they surrounded my tub and they just all started praying for me. But they were praying in different languages and different dialects. And so they're like, oh, I said, what's going on here? What the heck? What y'all doing? It said, there's a healing circle. And so after that, I felt so empowered. I said, let's do it. I said, if I have this, even though I don't see them, I can
Yes,
feel their energy.
you feel it.
And I knew that I had that support. I said, you know what? Let's do it. I'm ready. Let's
Mhm.
do it.
Wow. So, how do you carry Mama Brenda with you now in your healing journey?
With my healing journey, so one thing is that I do I carry with me is of course the resilience in my healing journey. And so with her, it was more of like, let's just, let's go get chemo and, let's do this. I said, if I get cancer and any of that, I'm not getting chemo. I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to a different island and we're going to do some other stuff. I'm not doing any of that.
Mhm.
So that's the main thing. I think the difference with me and her is, but the way that I carry her is that when I would go see her for her dialysis, I would just go in there and sit with her. She was always done up. And I was just like looking at her. She always had her hair done. Her nails were done. Her toes were done. She looked amazing sitting there. Oh, hey. And I just be like, aren't you fighting like cancer? Looking good till the day that she
Yeah.
passed away. She had everything was always completely done, and I'm just looking like she'd have her little pink lipstick on, so that was my thing, is that she never let the world see how she was really feeling. She always had that
Mhm.
smile, and
Mhm.
so that's where I carry that with me, is that when I'm in my office or I'm in this office, I'm in the lab or whatever, and I'm going through stuff, nobody will ever know because I'm always going to have that smile. So I just
Mhm.
carry her resilience, and I also carry her grace,
Mhm.
and so on my healing journey, I'm like, with me, I want it to be where I'm able to get the healing. And
Mhm.
see, this is the thing about healing, though, is that when you heal
Mhm.
yourself and you work on yourself, you don't realize that you're healing your past generations, and
Yes,
also you're
sir.
healing your future generations as well. So that's why it's so important for you to focus on healing, because you don't know who you are healing. Girl, you could be healing your 25th grandma, great, 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 and healing your granddaughter that's going to be
Mhm.
coming. So that's why
Yes.
it's so important that we focus, on healing ourselves properly.
Wow. That's real.
Mhm.
That is, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. That is so real. Now, what would you say to Mama Brenda if she could hear this episode? Because I know she here.
Oh, she here. She told me what to wear today. Um, and so I wore this lipstick for her. I wore this color for her. And
Oh my
so
God.
what I would tell her is that I would tell her that, that I'm proud of her. She fought a hard fight, and I would tell her that I'm not gonna give up easily. I would
Mhm.
tell her that I am taking care of myself. I would tell her that she don't have to worry about me. I would tell her thank you for a lot of stuff that she does. She does a lot of stuff. We do a lot. She does a lot of protection and
Mhm.
stuff. So I would tell her thank you for the work that she's
Mhm.
doing over there, because with her, she felt like it was she didn't want to go because she kept lingering because she thought that we weren't going to be okay. I'm like, we good,
Mhm.
and so I would tell her thank you for everything that she's doing on the other side, because she does a lot of work over there. And I would just tell her thank you, that you raised the OG, and that I'm living my life
Mm-hmm.
from, the blessings that I get are some based upon some of the prayers that she did,
Yeah.
and so I would also let her know, about the house. I got
Mhm.
the house because I wanted to get a house close to her,
Yeah.
and so let her know that all is well, all is well,
Mhm.
and that, I still have a great relationship with God.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love her. Okay. Now, nobody talks about what menopause after hysterectomy, after,
Mhm.
having a hysterectomy actually
Mhm.
feels like.
Mhm.
Can you describe your first few months honestly?
So the first few months was, I would say, hell on wheels.
Oh,
So you know what? The first few months, the hot flashes hadn't hit yet. So it was kind of like, I think it was kind of like that's where we go back to the silver lining. But
uh-huh.
I say hell because of the surgery. Surgery was rough. The
Yes.
surgery was
Okay.
rough. It hurt like hell.
Um,
But you know what? I wouldn't say it was hell. The first few months weren't that bad because all of
okay.
the symptoms hadn't kicked in.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it kind of was like a little holiday,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
where it was like, oh, I ain't gonna, oh, because I knew
Yes.
what month, I mean, what time of the month it would come. So I was like, oh, you're not here, huh?
Yes. Yes.
So it was like, to be honest, it was a party. I wouldn't say hell. I take that back. I feel like it was a party. It was a party. It was a party until a couple of months aside. I was like, I would see the commercials, like, oh,
Yes.
is menopause affecting you? No, it's not. Until a couple months later, woo! But it was a
That's
party.
funny. Now, what has been the hardest symptom or shift to navigate with this? What do you think?
My hardest symptom to navigate is my sex drive.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you
Hmm.
you want to be frank, that's the hardest symptom is
That's
my sex
real
drive. Yes,
because
yes,
it could be like, "What's up? What we doing?"
yeah,
And the next minute be like, "Oh, dang, we ain't did nothing."
yeah. Yeah, it was one minute you're gonna be like, oh hey, and the nipples be hey, you in the middle of
Wait,
work and
where
the
they at?
nipples be
Let's see.
like, you
They
know,
get it.
you're like, wait, what's going on? It's 12 o'clock in the daytime, and then other times I'll be like, oh, yuck. Oh,
Yes.
I
I
don't ever
love
want to
it.
do that
Ah,
again. What was I thinking? And then a day or so later, hey, you sure look sexy over there. So it's a complete roller coaster. It is a roller
yeah,
coaster. And I sometimes, I feel sorry for my husband.
I know. Oh, I understand. Okay. Has menopause affected your identity and how you see yourself as a woman?
Oh, my identity. So we went to dinner the other night, and so it was for my brother-in-law, and we were going out to dinner, and so I'm in the makeup in my mirror getting dressed, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so ugly, and I just had a breakdown like out of nowhere, and so
Mhm.
I think my mom showed up. She's like, hey, and I was like, huh. You're beautiful, and you need to tell yourself that right now. And I was like, I'm beautiful, as I'm putting, and then so a few minutes later, I'm like, oh shoot, this girl is bad. Hey, so the way that it messed with my identity was that from one minute to the next, I don't know
Mhm.
who I am sometimes,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, oh, and it's just, oh, so the identity is, I have to fight like, hey, you're okay, calm her down, calm her down,
Yeah.
so it's a fight not to be like where them hot flashes come, you do your makeup, you thinking you look good, and then
Sure.
all of a sudden you sweat and most of your makeup
Yeah.
is gone, everything is gone, and so
Ah,
I have to fight I have to fight. So that's why I keep my hair short because
That's
I wanted
beautiful.
to, I wanted to get some braids or I want to do this or I want to do that. But I don't want to be out somewhere cute and I have a hot flash and then everything just gets messed up. So I was just like, and then I'd be irritated. I'm just irritated. So yeah, but my
Good.
identity, I have to I just have to I have to put myself back in check. Hey, snap to it, snap back. Oh yeah, you right. So
Right.
mhm.
Listen, sis, at any moment, this lace front can come off. Do you hear me? And this bra, I can go braless, underwear, no
Yes,
underwear. I
yes,
could just really,
yes.
now we truly understand why our the women in our family, back in the day, they say, oh, they're going
Hmm.
through the change. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
They're crazy. And it's not that.
yeah.
We understand why they open up the ice box and just stay there. Or we
Honey,
understand why they wear the moo-moos, because
come
baby
on
moo
now.
is sexy.
Yes, come on now.
I'm like, okay. Now, what has surprised you most, good or bad, with this menopause roller coaster?
I would say what has surprised me the most has been how I flash so fast. Like I just can't believe how fast I flash. I
Ooh,
flash so fast where I'm happy and next minute be like, if you don't shut your mother, and I'm like, wait, where did that come from? And so um I think that's one of my biggest things is that I just get irritated quickly in a half a
yeah,
second. Click. I'm like, huh?
yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm
Oh
like,
my God. It's like you're on this island, like you're having your own private summer.
yes, 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 exactly. So my thing is that I have to jump back to reality, and my husband's pretty pretty good at, hey, you need to calm it down. Oh, yeah, that's right. Who was that? So it's just these flash. It's just these flashes
I
when
know
they
one right
hit.
now.
Yeah, oh yes, honey. Woo! When they hit, my husband knows when they hit before I do. So yeah,
Lord help me. It's
yes,
real. It is so real.
it is real.
This is so real. Oh, Jesus help us. Okay, now, why do you think women do not talk about this more openly? The menopause.
It's like I said previously, was that anything dealing with the matriarch has always been shut down. The patriarch always, I think it has to do with the patriarch where women
Mhm.
don't matter. Their voices don't
Yeah,
matter. Their pain don't
yeah.
matter. Just go in there and go in there and just cook my steak and make my potatoes. I don't want to hear nothing else and make sure my clothes washed and,
Yeah.
that's all that for the patriarch, that's all the women are good for. Now, the matriarch is rising. We are coming up, the women are coming back, and we're doing what we have to do. And you're going to hear us talk one way or the other. And so, like when I told my husband I was doing this, he just said, oh, you're going to get on there and talk about your cuckoo. And that's all
But
he
tell them,
said.
we're gonna talk about the cuckoo. We're gonna talk about the tatas.
Thank
We're gonna talk
you.
about how popping we are. Baby, we
Yes.
about to lay it down.
Thank you. So
Yes.
that's all that, yeah. And so I think a lot of times women are embarrassed because we weren't supposed to
Yeah.
talk. We're supposed to just
Yeah.
take the pain and be quiet and just take it and
Yeah.
just not say anything. So now we're like, I don't care. And who
Mhm.
who gonna stop me?
Yeah. Who gonna check me, boo?
Exactly. People are embarrassed. So I'm not embarrassed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And oof, yes. What do you want younger women to know before they get here, this point?
I want them to really look into different holistic, look into more
Mhm.
natural. We don't have to always go so quick to get a hysterectomy. Is it fun
Mhm.
not to have a monthly cycle? Heck yes.
Yeah.
But like with anything in life, that's one thing I love about God is that God gives us free will. Okay. So it was my choice to have the hysterectomy because of different symptoms, and plus I don't want to be having to have the ovarian cancer. Because, oh, that was
Yeah.
something else that I forgot was that
Yeah.
I did have an ovarian cyst. I had ovarian cysts.
Okay.
So I
Mhm.
didn't want those to keep
Yeah.
reoccurring. Okay. So if you are having issues like that, but if you're getting it just not to have the period, Just have to have your period. That no, that's crazy
Mm-mm.
because
Mm-mm.
menopause is a beast. It's a wild beast that many people can actually calm. That they
And
can't. I mean, that they can't calm down. You
yeah,
know, it reminds
yeah,
me of the Hulk Hogan, where we can just be fine 1 minute, next minute we're just
yeah,
breaking out of everything. And so, for the young person, the young woman, I would just try to look out. Don't always go with the mainstream. What you think, a quick fix. This is your body. Your body is
yeah,
gold. It's
yeah,
precious. Anything in your body is precious. God put it there for a reason. You
yeah.
know, now I would just say to always try to make sure that that you know that you are beautiful inside and out, with
Mhm,
or without anything that anybody else has to say. But I would say
mhm.
do a little bit more research and cherish your God-given body.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Wow, 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 wow. What has helped you most during this season?
What has helped me most? You know what? I do want to give you props because I like this channel, and I like the whole notion of it that you're just like, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. Like, you want to help other people. So it is
Mhm,
helpful. You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is that when God puts something in your heart to do something like this, when you follow through with it, you don't know who you're reaching. And you
mhm.
don't know where it's going to go. So, of course, I'm going to say that, you doing this, it definitely helps, because it gives information, and it's not judgmental. That's the thing
Yeah.
about it. And so what else has helped me the most was I had to learn who Diana really was. I had to learn who she was. This gets you into the thing of learning who you are, what you like, what you don't like, because we're not going to be able to predict these hot flashes, but when they come, we'll just always be prepared. That's my thing, is that I like to be proactive instead of reactive. And so what's helped me is I like to do a lot of research and do a lot of reading so I can just learn who
Mhm.
I am and why is this happening like this? Okay, is this connected to this? Okay, well, what about this? So it's all about just learning yourself and learning why things happen.
Wow. Where are you now compared to where you started?
Whoa! So back then, um, when when those hot flashes hit, oh Lord have mercy, I was just like, oh, and I would go get shots, and then I used to
Mhm,
get the patch, and then I'd forget to take the put the patch on, and then oh, it's been a complete hassle, and so where I am from then to now is more of I'm finding what works best for me.
mhm,
Everybody has different bodies, and
mhm,
some things might not work for Susie, some might work better for
mhm.
Pam,
Right.
but what I'm realizing is that where I am now is that I am a whole lot more solid. I'm more stationary. I'm not running like I feel like in the beginning I was running around with a chicken with my head cut off.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So now I'm like, I just feel like I exhaled.
Yes.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Now, when you were at your worst physically, what
Mhm.
did a normal day look like on the outside? So now we're kind of going back a little bit to the
Mhm.
bleeding.
Oh, okay. So, um, during that time, I was at least 50 to 60 pounds bigger.
Okay.
And so a normal day with the bleeding was that oh, she's coming up on the 12th. Okay, so we're not planning anything for this time. Let me go ahead and get
Mhm,
these diapers, let me.
mhm,
So it was more of, you know what? Come to think about it, I feel like I was even more depressed at that time because I was just like, oh, so the bleeding, waking up in a pool of blood is never fun. How about that?
Mm-mm.
So I felt like it was after, like, I felt like it was after childbirth, having to sleep with chucks. Having to sleep with a chuck is no fun. A chuck is a plastic thing, after, you have surgery where you don't bleed. So it even got
Yeah.
to the point where I had a little bag in the back of my car where I would have
Uh-huh.
chucks back there. So just in case I don't have to bleed on my seats because I had light seats. So the bleeding was never fun. And I said, oh no, I can't, no, no. Like grandpa said, no, no.
For
I can't
real.
do it. Mm-hmm.
Uh, how did you keep going professionally and as a mother and a wife while your body was in this crisis?
Nobody knew.
Mm.
Only person I knew was my husband. You know what? We talked about this story yesterday. And so it just so happened to be on a particular day that I had to go to work. I was working at a call center. And so I was in so much pain. I was bleeding really, really heavily. And I was just like, oh, it was just a horrible, horrible day. And Spirit told me plain as day, hey, you need to stay home today. I said, no, I'm going to work. Spirit said, stay home today. I said, no, I'm going to work.
Uh-huh.
So I went to work, bleeding heavily, in a lot of pain, cramping up. Oh. And so I went for an hour, and Spirit came, whispered in my ear, go home now. And I just said, okay, shoot.
Yeah.
And so I got up and I went to go tell my supervisor he wasn't there. So I talked to another supervisor, hey, I need to go home. He was like, okay, blah, blah, blah. So I drove home. And as I was driving home, I realized why Spirit wanted me to go home. Somebody had broken into our house and stole all of our stuff. And so I caught them. Um, yeah. And so we were talking about that yesterday. And um, so when Spirit tells you to stay home, you need to stay home. So, and it was during my monthly period. So it was a rough time to walk in on that. And just being in so much pain and then dealing with the pain emotionally. So, emotionally, I was a wreck that day. And so, also, whew, my closet was my best friend. I would go in the closet and just cry because I was in
Mhm.
so much pain and I didn't want to take those pills. I didn't want to mess up my liver. I didn't want to mess up my kidney,
Yeah.
and so I would just go in the closet and cry. So that was my escape, was just go in there and cry. And then, okay, all right, guys. So for dinner,
Yeah.
but I'm still dying inside. Okay, so for dinner, you know what? I'm going to cook a roast today. Da, 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 da. So nobody ever knew.
Mm-mm-mm. Did you ever? Well, no one knew.
Mm-mm.
But going through this, you felt alone? Did you feel alone?
Yeah,
Okay.
I felt alone all the time.
Wow. Why do you think women are so conditioned to push through pain?
Because men don't know what it feels like. So I
Mm.
love that video where they put it on my husband. They let him feel the actual labor pain. That husband jumped
Mhm.
up so fast. "Ah!" So it's like a couple videos out there where they do that.
Yeah.
And so the world doesn't know how we feel. So if you don't actually know what it feels like, you can never imagine the pain. Oh, you're making it up. Oh, they think, oh, she just lying. Oh,
Mhm.
she just want attention. Oh, she just want
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Okay, well, you need to feel it yourself. How about I punch you in your balls? How would you like that? That's what it
Yeah.
feels like. Oh, oh.
Yeah. For real.
Mm-hmm.
That's real. Now, was there a specific moment where the mask cracked where you could not pretend anymore with this bleeding, with the pain?
Mm-hmm. Um, After my mom passed away, I was sitting in the waiting room. Everybody was reeling after her. She passed away in the hospital. And I was just like, yo, I always talk to myself, yo, I said, yo, we're not dealing with this no more, huh? We're not doing this anymore. And I said,
Mhm.
what? And I just said, we're not doing it anymore. And I feel like something completely broke inside of me. Like, I'm not doing this. I said, I feel like my mom did it. She just, it was
Mhm.
always a mask, but underneath it was, and I said, I'm not gonna be that. I love my mom I loved her dearly. However, I do feel like she masked a lot of pain, because she didn't speak out about it. She was scared to, or she did, the patriarchy at that time, or whatever the situation was. We had to always, like I said, we were always in the spotlight. So we couldn't
Yeah.
let anybody know that we were flawed. We couldn't be flawed. So I just said, F that. I'm on my own path,
Mhm.
and we getting this taken care of. I don't even think I
Mhm.
spoke to my husband about it. I just let him know, hey, by the way, on boop boop, I'm going to get done. Oh, okay. So you want to get the surgery? Then I was like, I thought about it. I said, no, I'm gonna get this done because it's
Yeah.
not for you. It's for me. I matter.
Yeah.
I matter. And he didn't say nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. What would you say to a woman right now who is
Hmm.
smiling through her suffering? What would you say?
I would tell her that she matters. You matter. I would tell her that it is not worth it, and um that luckily, we do have, a podcast like this where we can speak
Yeah.
about it openly, and that there is help out there. There are other women that will listen to you. You don't have to feel alone, because there
Mhm.
are people that will listen to you,
Mhm.
and that it's not worth it. Get some help somewhere if you can, you know.
Mhm.
There are a lot of different resources, and there are different things out there that can help you. You don't have to suffer in silence. In this day and age, there's no reason to suffer in silence.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Sure. What does giving yourself permission to not be okay actually look like?
So that's the thing, is that probably about 2 or 3 years ago, I had to tell myself I am not going to subscribe to the superwoman thoughts, that I always had to be superwoman. I always had to put my cape on. I always had to save
Mhm.
everybody.
Mhm.
And so when I came to that realization, I was like, oh, wait, it's okay for me to take a nap. It's okay
Mhm.
for me not to cook dinner tonight. It's okay not to have to, wash the clothes till the next day, or put it off, or ask somebody else. It's okay to delegate, instead
Mhm.
of having to always carry it on your back, because after a while your back gets heavy and then you start having the back pains, the cramps, it's all psychological. So once I realized that it's okay not to be okay, I would say that was probably a couple years ago, when I was just like, wait, I need to take a breath. I need to exhale. And I had to realize that everything doesn't have to be so perfect. I have ADHD and OCD. So everything has to be in a complete order. My shelves have to be a certain way. This needs to be this way. So I had to realize, Jenny, it's okay if a shoe's out of place. Oh, okay. Oh, because you know what? It goes back, I think, to some of my past life stuff where I was dealing where everything had to be perfect, or I'd get yelled at, or I'd get abused, or, so
Yeah.
because that inner thought would always be in my head. Well, I don't want him to think that I'm lazy. I don't want him to think that I'm not a good woman. I don't want him to think that I'm not. And that was my thought in my head, So I had to realize, like, fuck that thought.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I got rid of that thought, it took a lot of self. I did a lot of shadow work, which means I had to do a lot of
Mhm.
inner healing of stuff that dealt with me, and goes all the way back to my childhood stuff that I was embarrassed about, like the
Yeah.
at the camp. I've never told anybody that story. My husband don't even
Yeah.
know that story,
Yeah.
because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed,
Yeah.
and people they were just laughing at me, but they didn't want to help, you know. But it's more of like, I'm flawed. So what? I am
Yeah.
who I am. I
Right.
don't subscribe to that old story anymore. I am her who I am now. Take it or leave it. And I don't care if you leave it, boo boo.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So tell us about Get Healed by Dianne.com. How did that come to life?
So what happened with that was that, to make a long story short, So my grandma, she passed away, God rest her soul, when I was about 13. And she came to visit me one day after she had passed away and scared the bejesus out of me. And I talked to Reverend Tolliver,
Mhm.
and I talked to my mom. She said, "Get out of here with that." And so finally I talked to, but Spirit kept pushing me, and Spirits told me, "You need to keep pushing." And I said, "Okay." So I talked to my grandpa. I said, "Poco, I think grandma." So I thought he was going to say, "Girl, get out of here with that." And so he just told me in a nutshell. He said, "Well, what did she say?" I said, "I don't know. I ran." He said, "Well, she has a message for you. You need to listen to it." I said, my mind was blown to smithereens. And so later on, I found out that she told me, "It's you. You're the chosen one.
Wow.
And you have the gift. I'm passing the torch to you." And I said, "Holy, and
Yeah.
so what happened was that I went through a domestic violence situation, and then the gifts came on full force. And then I just started working on it. And I started doing readings out of my kitchen. And then I'll never forget that my first reading, official reading, um, it was a crazy situation. The girl had come over, a bunch of drama. And so the stuff that I was telling her, there would be no way that nobody else would know this information, private privy information that nobody knew about. And so she lost it and start crawling on her hands and knees in my kitchen screaming. And she was like, "God, I'm not worthy," crying and screaming. And so at that same time, Jesus was walking behind me and I could feel him. And I was like, "What's going on here?" So he was walking behind and she saw him. And I'm getting the chills again. And so he was walking behind and she's screaming on the floor. And I'm just looking at her. And he was like, "Jenny, just sit there." He said, "Don't touch her, just sit there." And I just said, "Oh, okay." And so I looked down and I was just like, I said, "It's okay." And I said, "He said, it's okay. You're healed." I'm talking to her, whatever. So
Mhm.
she had a little, after that, she was just like, she left and she just looked at me. She couldn't talk. She left. And so I said, "Whoa." And I just knew from that point on, I said, this must be part of my calling. This must be my gift. And so um I didn't have a website at that time. And so I started doing readings. So I started building up this clientele. They would come over to the house. We would do readings, whatever, and always doing readings, word of mouth, start getting bigger and bigger. And so then I was just like, I was like, let me work a regular job. So I got a regular job. And so they would be texting me at work, calling me at work. So I was like, you know what, let me just get a website so they can just do it all there.
Yeah.
And so I set the website up, and set the website up and haven't looked back. And so the thing about it is that with me, I'm a natural born gypsy. And so regular
Yeah.
jobs bore me. I
Mm.
can get them. That's the fun part of it, is getting them. But the website Get Healed by Dianne is not just about my readings. It's about intuitive coaching. I've actually developed a coaching program where I actually offer intuitive coaching and life coaching. And so it's basically for people that have just awakened to their gifts and they don't know which way to turn. And so me and one of the actual goddesses, her name is Goddess Aset. She's a goddess from
Mhm.
Africa. Um, she was a mothering figure to me. And
Mhm.
so I've actually built a program. So it's called Healing with the Goddess. And so that was on there. And I have about 10 mentees, that they actually took the program. They loved it. They're doing great. And so the thing is that when we go back to what I was saying about my job stuff, is that I also help like with practice for your career, interview stuff. And also I do the resumes. I help you with resumes. And also how it ties back to this conversation is that I also have a thing on there where, hey, are you stuck, in your romantic life? Do you need help with different, you need help, and you and your partner, are you guys having some issues, sexually, because that's who I am. And so you could book a reading for that. Of course, it's all private, everything is always confidential, and so the website just grew from um, just things that I offer, as
Mhm.
far as the life coaching, the resume building,
Mhm.
if you're having sexual problems, so it's more of my life calling period. So what I will eventually, what I want to do is that I'm going to have a resort where it's going to help battered women, where I'll be
Wow.
able to have them out in like exotic locations and
Yeah.
offer them healing, offer them counseling, offer them a pretty view. Just let them know that there is healing after abuse. And so that's my mission. That's where we're building up to now. So that's where gethealedbydianne.com came from, is that's just the beginning of it. So we have the light tower and we have basically different facets of different things that
Okay.
we're going to do.
Okay. And let
Mhm.
me tell you guys, listen, her readings are amazing. Just so you know, and I have tried them. So clock that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Mhm.
You're welcome, sis. Now,
Mhm.
what does being healed mean to you? Is it a destination or a practice? What do you feel like it means to you?
I really don't feel like anybody's ever completely healed. So that's the thing about it, is that when you are doing all this work on yourself, it's never ending. It's never
Mhm.
ever ending. And so as far as being healed, it's a constant work in progress. And so when I first started doing all the healings and stuff, and Spirit was like, it's never done. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's never done? That kind of discouraged me, like, well, what am I working towards this for? So the thing is that you feel so much better about yourself. You're able to live life the way that
Mhm.
you view life. You view it in a different way because you're not still carrying all that baggage. To me,
Mhm.
the definition
Mhm.
of healing is all those baggages and all that stuff that you've carried. You're able to open your hands and you're able to release it. So that would be my definition. Is it a place? I don't feel it's a place.
Mhm.
Is it a like a somewhere where you can basically reach freedom and just be free? Yeah, I do feel like that. I do
Mhm.
feel like it is somewhere that is deep within. And it is something that if you keep working on it, keep working and keep working, eventually it gets easier. It gets easier and easier and easier, and my thing is that you always want to surround yourself, as far as the people that you hang out with, even everything that you feed yourself, from the food, from the TV to the radio to everything that you surround yourself, you want to make sure that it's always up and coming. You don't need to be around a bunch of horrible stuff. You don't need to be feeding yourself the nonsense all the
Mhm.
time.
That's real. That
Hmm.
is so real. Now, at what point in your journey did you start putting yourself first?
When I told myself I don't subscribe to the superwoman, I told myself I don't subscribe to that complex anymore. You know I am.
Mhm.
Woo.
Yeah.
Um, I just told myself that I have to, um, if I want to be here
Mhm.
longer, if I want to be here and not have to be so sick all the time, not have to carry and subscribe to the BS, that's when I realized that everything is going to be okay when you know that you matter. It was a work of art, a work in progress. I did a lot of mirror work where I look in the mirror and I say, "You're beautiful." And I'm like, "You're crazy. Oh my God, look at." And
Mhm.
so I had to do, work, getting a picture of myself and talking to her, and um that's when I had to realize, like, hey, I matter. I'm
Mhm.
okay. We gonna be okay. We gonna be okay.
Mhm.
We gonna be like Kendrick said, we gonna be all right, and I had to tell myself, I'm gonna be all right, period. I'm not gonna carry
Mhm.
all that stuff. And
Mhm.
I had to realize that the superwoman complex that they try to make sure that we have all the time, forget
Mhm.
all that.
Mhm.
It's not even
Mhm.
worth, it's not worth the hassle.
That's real. That
Mhm.
is so real. Now, what was the hardest part of that shift?
The hardest part of that shift was my husband telling me, "Oh, I'm tired of this women empowerment bullshit."
Don't hate on us, bro. Don't hate on us.
Okay, it was hilarious. Cause I'd be like, motherfucker, no, because he was so used to me doing
Yeah.
in anything. I would always make sure, oh, you need this? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, okay, okay. After a while, I was like, you could do it your goddamn self, nigga." And then I would never take naps. I'd always be, oh, okay, I can do this. Oh, I got this. Oh. So I was always catering to everybody else. And I would never
Mhm.
cater to myself. And
Mhm.
so I had to say, hey, it's okay to take a nap. Huh? It's okay if you go to work, and you come home and you take a nap. Or it's okay that if these people at your job are driving you crazy, it's okay to look for something else. It's
Mhm.
okay to find something that suits you. It's okay
Mhm.
that it's okay to not be okay. I had to realize that. And it took him some like, she really in there asleep. Yeah.
Mhm.
And he had to realize too, like, she not because I would cook every day. I'd work full time. I'd always put something
Mhm.
in the cook in the crock pot, or I always
Okay.
do this. I would do that. I would do that. So by the time I got home, I was tired. Okay, let me go in here and finish making this gravy. Let me do that. Now I was like, I'm going home. Nigga, what's for dinner? So I realized it's okay to rest.
Mhm.
And he had to get around to that. Like,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
oh shoot. So that was the hardest part. Is just I think them adjusting to me not doing everything for them and my
Mhm.
kids and the kids. Mhm.
Mhm. Uh-huh. I love it. Now, who is the woman you are speaking to with everything that you do?
I'm speaking to the woman who feels like she's never enough. I'm speaking to the woman who feels like she doesn't have anybody to talk to. I'm speaking to the woman that was in the closet like who I was, just embarrassed about everything, didn't want to face reality. I'm
Mhm.
speaking to the woman who is accomplished but yet feels torn inside. I'm speaking to the woman who doesn't feel like her voice matters.
Mhm.
I'm speaking to the clairvoyant, the psychic, the
Mhm.
medium, the star people, the people that see stuff like I do, the
Mhm.
people, the black sheep of the family. I'm the black sheep. I'm different.
Mhm.
They put me to
Mhm.
the side. I'm a whole
Mhm.
different mother. And, I'm speaking to
Mhm.
that person because
Mhm.
we matter.
Yeah.
God gave us a reason to be here. God gave us purpose. And I'm not saying
Mhm.
that, anybody else doesn't have purpose, but just know that there are other like-minded people out there. All you have to do is ask. That's one thing about that I do. I do work with the angels. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I'm working with the angels and working with spirit, one thing that spirit is wanting me to make sure that we discuss today is that all you have to do is ask for help. Just
Yeah.
open your mouth and ask. It might not be easy, but all you have to do is ask. Just like the angels, they are ready to work with us at any beck and call. But we go back to God and how God gives us free will. That's why I love God. He gives us
Mhm.
free will. And so the main thing is that all you have to do is ask. God's not going to force anything on us, but we always have to ask. And so that's the woman that I'm speaking to let her know at the end of the day that regardless of whatever happened in her past, whatever's happening
Mhm.
right now, is that she matters. She's gold. Period.
Mhm. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. I hope you guys, to the women, I hope you're receiving. I hope you received that. That right there was powerful. I hope you received that. Now, what is the one thing you want her to walk away believing about herself? Because we know she matters, but what is the one thing?
I want her to know that she has us. We're here.
Yes. All right. My dear beautiful sis, where can people find you and connect with your work? Because this is powerful.
So I have my website, like we spoke about, Get Healed by Dianne.com. I am Dianne. I do have that on there. And I am on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. You know, everything is all Dianne on Instagram. I'm Dianne's World. TikTok, Dianne's World. YouTube, Dianne's World. So everything revolves around Dianne's world. But when we look back at Dianne's world is here to help.
I know that's right. Now, sis, what is next for you? What else is coming up for you?
So, what's next for me is that I did go ahead and get my Associates of Science in Education. So, right now, um,
Congratulations. Yes.
oh, thank you. So, I will be getting my bachelor's in communication because I love communication. And so I
Yeah.
will be getting my bachelor's. And so, what's next for me? My vision, like I said, was to help the women. So, within 5 to 6, maybe 7 years or so, we will be moving international. I will be leaving the
Yeah.
US and we will be moving international. And that's where I will be hosting more of my resorts, doing more of like I do now. I do a lot of stuff online. And so, right now, I'm just building the foundation. The reason why I do want to get the degree is so I can better serve my population.
Oh, sis. Now, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time out your busy schedule to hang with us. This means so much to me. You have no idea. But I gotta get your other information because
Hmm.
I have some good news for you. I'm going to be sending to you.
All right
So,
now.
as you know, I am also a hysterectomy survivor, a fibroid warrior, and an ovarian cyst warrior to you as well. I create the book, The Uterus Bar. It helps women prepare, educate, and help them to thrive after having a surgery.
Yes.
And then we built this community. So you're going to be getting one of these.
Holla.
I also have my Artesia's Wound Blossoming Tea because it does help with hot flashes.
Oh,
It helps with
yes.
the wound. It helps with endometriosis, PCOS, now PMOS. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Abnormal periods of heavy periods, fibroids, ovarian cysts. I'm going to still be sending you this. And then also we have our Artesia's Let Lymph Flow Lymphatic Tea because we be having that brain fog, and that is a part not just our menopause, but it's a part of our lymphatic system because it's not
Hmm.
clear. And then I'm going to be sending you my art. It's a happy wound oil, and it does help with menopause, but it also helps with your wound. Even though we've had our hysterectomy, sometimes we may have cramping and things like that as well.
Hmm.
So it's one of those type of oils. You've heard of the castor oil pack
Oh,
before?
yes. Hmm.
So a lot of women are like, "Oh my gosh, it's messy," but guess what? It helps. It also helps to clean your liver as well, right?
Oh, wow.
Um, but I create the oil because it's easy like a carry on, right? Like you put it in your
Hmm.
purse, things like that. So it has three different oils. It has magnesium, sunflower, and it also has the castor oil that's been soaked in herbs. So
Okay.
very simple. Just put on your belly button around your stomach. You can put your heating pad. You don't have to put a heating pad. You can put red light therapy. And I really believe in that belly button. It's like the center. It helps to heal and
Oh, yeah.
open, so things like that. So I'm gonna get all your information, sis, so I can send you that um, as well. Listen, if you are out there and you are a woman and you feel like you have a uterine health story that you want to share, please reach out to me on hello.theuterusbar@gmail.com. Okay, because we would love to have you here as a guest. Thank you, thank you, thank you, sis.
Thank
Love you
you.
so,
Love you
so, so,
too.
so much. Okay.